Test, 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 test. Let's see how that is. That is good. That works. Okay, I'm recording. Serial de autos. Hey, Adam, it's Michelle. I'm logged on, and because I am remote in Houston, wanted to make sure everything was cool and you got on okay.
You know what? I am still trying to do that. I just sent you an email. I had closed your last email and apparently unknowingly closed my Outlook too. So I'm sitting here waiting and I looked down like, oh, you dummy, you turned your email off. So hang on.
No worries.
That's good self-talk, you know.
I do that all the time, and then people come down on me. Lord doesn't like it when you talk about yourself that way.
The Lord's fine. Just back off.
The Lord made me. He understands.
You speak for the Lord. I don't remember dying and making. I'm sure that there's a fairly long list of things in my life that the Lord isn't happy about. But that one's pretty low priority.
It's probably pretty low.
Did you send me a Zoom link?
I can send you another.
No, I think I got it here.
Perfect. I need to get in the habit of always having that at the top because it's so convenient.
Sometimes. Just a little help. No, I just had your email saying, can you Zoom today, but I don't have an invite.
Oh, okay. Let me send that to you.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Thanks for being patient with me. We can
Oh, that's all
we
right.
can go less time if you need today. Let's see.
I don't have a lot to talk about, so I have all the time in the world, but maybe a shorter conversation just because there are fewer things to talk about.
Right. And I haven't watched anything because the heck? I'm so sorry. Okay, that's there. There we go.
You're fine.
It's got to be something that I've sent. I'm trying to look at past emails that I've sent you so I can find it because
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Here we go. I'll just forward this one, right? Forward. Being on a remote computer, I'm still, and it's a brand new one too. So there's
where did you say you were?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay. I hope you're not flying home to Denver.
No, I am not. Why?
We got snowpocalypse coming.
What? Oh my gosh.
They're saying anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6 feet of snow.
Oh my
I
gosh.
saw one thing that said it could be the biggest snowstorm since 1885.
Well, go big or go home, people.
Right? So all I got in your email was sent from, oh, there it is. Got it. Oh, wow. Scroll down. There it is. All right. I am logging on and hopefully that'll work.
Sweet. There you go.
There I am.
All right, I'm gonna.
So I'm in a room with stone.
Oh wait, oops, I just hung up on you. Can you hear me? I like that hat.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, I gotta unmute you.
All right, how do I sound?
You sound great.
Cool. All right.
There's so much light in this room. I'm practically squinting, but my camera on my computer is so dark.
You know, you look total Northwest today. I like that.
Yeah, I know. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. So
that is that's totally Northwest. All right. No sound effects, no anything. We'll add those later because I am broadcasting from Houston, Texas on my Michelle tour of the United States on my way to New Orleans, Louisiana this weekend, which I'll be looking forward to. So this is where I get entertainment on a whole nother realm as we are with Adam Holtz, our plugged in movie reviewer, who is, by the way, pretty cool.
That's right.
Getting us ready for the weekend. And for me, this is a big deal. When you're traveling, I traveled on one of the cheapest airlines. I may not do that again, but there's no perks. There's just no perks.
Well, I always joke about Southwest. I'm like, I mean, it's a great airline, but you just got to stand there with your hand up.
I know, right? And they nickel and dime you. It's like, oh, you'd like to use the bathroom? $5, please. $5. Okay, it's not quite that bad yet, but it feels that way. But what you have to do if there's not Wi-Fi on your flight, download a movie, and that's where you can go to plugged in movie reviews and find out all about the good movies, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's nothing worse than downloading a movie and going, this is all I got for the next 3 hours. Not okay. Not okay.
Not okay.
Here's something really good. Well, we're going to talk about what's new this weekend, Adam. And which I know there's kind of slim pickings, but there's also the Plugged In Movie Awards. And those movies, this is our last chance this weekend, I think, to take a look at all of those and actually be part of the process. Your comments count. Let's talk about that.
So every year for about the last, we've done it at least a dozen years. We do our annual Plugged In Movie Awards, and we've named them the Pluggies this week, which was a reader suggestion.
I like it.
I thought was quite clever. And we pick movies in 4 different categories: best movies for kids, for teens, for adults, and best Christian movies. And we will nominate 5 movies in each category, and you can come to our blog and check out what we've nominated. And a week next Friday, which is what, the 19th, I believe. I think that's right. We will announce our choices in a podcast, and we will announce the readers' choices or viewers' choices as well on our blog. So you can
I get
vote.
dressed up for the affair, by the way. I just want you to know. Yeah,
right. I'm gonna get out my.
Gown.
I will get out the one flannel of power again. For one day at a time, we're all becoming our parents. I just want to take a detour here, and I'll do something. I'm like, my dad did that, and it drove me crazy. But here I am, and I just unconsciously wore the same shirt I wore yesterday because,
I like it.
It's winter. Why would I need another one? It's very. Anyway, I digress. You can vote, leave a vote in the comments section or on our Facebook or Instagram accounts. You can DM us there and let us know what you think, and we will report on the tallies next week. So exciting. And we will also be having our Oscar podcast next week. So we have a podcast too called The Plugged In Show, and we will be talking about the nominees for Best Picture on the show next week. So
outstanding.
It's always fun. This week, I mean, some years it's 6 or 8 or 10 movies you've never heard of. This year, like, there are still movies. I mean, we're like in a whole nother realm of obscure this year. So one of the movies we talked about a couple weeks ago was Minari, and our very own Paul Acey had a chance to interview the director. So you can also come to Plugged In to our blog and read his interview as well. But enough free associating. I'm just commenting on my own comments. I will turn things back over to you, Michelle.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of interested in looking at some of the movies from the Pluggies and see what we might want to view. That is a real fun way to revisit last year, the good parts of last year, right? I mean, 2020 is going to go down in the annals of time as, are you kidding me? But we have some glimmers of hope. There were some good things, and they did show up in movies. So throughout the categories, let's talk about, we'll start with the kids and then we'll try to grow up.
That is exactly what I have open in my hot little fingers here.
Perfect.
So 5 movies we nominated for Best Movies for Kids were, drum roll please, or trumpet fanfare, Black Beauty, a lovely remake of those of us of a certain age remember the 70s version, and those who are even older, like a lot older, might remember the 1877 version. There was another version in the 70s, 100 years before that. So this is a story that's been remade a number of times. Lovely movie about a girl and a horse. The Croods, A New Age, which was a sequel to The Croods, and great movie about getting along with people that maybe you don't like very much, or that have something that you don't, which frankly is not a bad message for us right now. Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey was released on Netflix over Christmas, but it's really not a super Christmassy movie. You could watch it anytime. Wonderful movie about a bitter old man sort of being confronted by his idealistic granddaughter. And I'm really oversimplifying. It's actually way more complicated than that. But that was another delightful film last year. Onward, one of the 2 Pixar movies last year, which is about two brothers looking for a magical crystal to bring their dad back for 24 hours. We will leave aside the biblical prohibition against contacting the dead and just sort of talk about that later.
They're not human, so maybe there's different rules apply.
Right. They're elves, so it's not that big a deal. And then Red Shoes and the Seven Dwarfs is a retelling of the Snow White stories.
Yeah, I want to go back to some of my favorites there. Black Beauty, what an all-around family favorite, fun, beautiful film.
Mackenzie Foy, I think, is the actress. She's kind of an up-and-comer. She was in the Nutcracker movie a couple years ago. She was in some other big movie as a very small girl. That's escaping me. She's delightful. I mean, she really is pretty wonderful.
It's a really good film. That's one of my favorites. And Red Shoes was actually a surprise. You know, it really took it on and there's faith elements interwoven. So very nice as well. Do you have a favorite?
Oh boy, it's a hard pick, honestly. I might go with Jingle Jangle.
That's really well done. That is a classic musical with extraordinary music. And I grew up with musicals. I grew up every musical. I know all the words, all the dance steps. But when we do new musicals, there's just something missing. Jingle Jangle has the good music that's relatable. They have a great storyline. They have action, which astounds me as well. So yeah, I think Jingle Jangle is an extraordinary pick. Let's move to the next category, shall we?
Let's move to the next category, which requires me to move to a new page. So Vamp,
I noticed that you're doing the Zoom look. You know, there's classes now on how you can surf, but still look like you're paying attention to someone.
Okay. Well, I will add that to my extraordinarily long list of things to do, and you can see my surf face, I guess. So moving on to best awards for teens.
Okay.
Da-da-da. If our internet will work, you can do it.
Get those mice pedaling faster on the wheel. Come on.
Oh man, seriously. So we have some interesting nominees in this category this year. Enola Holmes was one of my personal favorites, just in terms.
Oh, was that good? I really did enjoy that.
Oh boy, Millie Bobby Brown. Like if you've watched Stranger Things, her character is so different here, but it feels like this is a character she was born to play. She's Sherlock Holmes' little sister, and her mom disappears, but leaves clues on how to find her. So it's a mystery movie. Sherlock plays a small role. Lovely movie.
Can I also mention that there's an element of feminism that's in this movie, and some of it is extraordinarily empowering in a very positive way. But what is really interesting is that it goes beyond the preaching feminism to saying there's a danger in extremism.
Yeah. No, there is, and it ends in a little bit of a head scratcher place. I won't spoil the ending. I was a little surprised where they stuck the landing, because I felt like there was an opportunity to critique extremism, and maybe they embraced it instead. And I wasn't sure what to do with that. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it was, especially in our political moment where people are doing violence.
It felt out of place.
It felt a little odd.
Yeah, it felt a little out of place because of where we're at. But having said that, commercial for Starbucks.
Sorry. Okay. I just want to come back. I know that we're not supposed to do that, right? I drink it. It is what it is. And it's actually just water. There's not even Starbucks.
What?
There you go.
And I was all envious because I'm really thinking a latte is really good about now.
I figured with a Seattle thing,
You're absolutely right. And for those who don't know, I am traveling and I am in Houston, Texas. And yes, there are Starbucks here, but I'm from Seattle. That's like the home of, there's Starbucks on every corner downtown in some instances. So, I'm maybe 5 miles from good coffee here, and that's hard for me. But I do have the internet, so I can download some of these movies. And as we were saying, Enola Holmes, a fabulous movie. It does leave that door open. However, having said that, it is completely navigable because, you can also see the extremism. So when you're using a teaching moment for your kids, boom, and you can Paul AC it and maybe even spiritualize it. So there you go.
Right. You can Paul AC it. I forgot we had turned him into a verb.
He is a verb.
Pick up the pace, because if we talk about each movie for 5 minutes, we'll be here for the next 2 hours.
Yes. And there's a limit of what Adam can handle with Michelle. I get it.
Well,
I
get
it. You're right. You're right.
We just had a 30-second commercial for Starbucks. So
unless there's another teen movie. Oh, we haven't even gone through all the teen movies.
No, I'll just list them. And I have one that I want to talk about because it's not quite self-explanatory. So the other nominees are Mulan, The Personal History of David Copperfield, Safety, which is a football movie about a college football taking care of his little brother. Now, the fifth nominee is a strange one for us. It's the first horror movie we've ever nominated. It's called Come Play, and it's about an autistic boy who meets an online playmate named Larry, who turns out to be a creepy sort of spiritual monster. So this is a strange movie, but we put it on the list. The movie is an allegory about the dangers of screen time and what we can do there. And so I think, especially for if you have teen boys, 15, 16, 17, this would be a great conversation starter.
Okay.
You have a 10-year-old who is, still scared by what's under the bed. Not so much. But it was a pretty restrained horror movie, and one that definitely was trying to communicate a pretty interesting lesson in an interesting way.
Okay. So all right.
That's our fifth nominee on that one.
Hadn't even gotten on my radar. So all of these movies that you can look up, they're available, and you can comment on next category.
Yeah, next category is best movies for adults. And man, this was another terrific category. There were so many movies this year. Weirdly enough, some years we struggle, and we almost had too many this year. So one of them is one of our movies for this week, The Father, which I'll just go ahead and talk about that, which is an Anthony Hopkins movie. And it is about an older man succumbing to the ravages of dementia. This is a hard movie, but I think it's an important one. Olivia Colman plays his daughter. You might have seen her in The Crown. She has that very British thing going on. And it's about how she is trying to love and help and serve her dad as his memory goes away. And parts of it are filmed from his perspective. And so people will just show up and he won't know where they came from. Things will happen. And so it tries to sort of approximate what life may be like to someone who is suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia. A couple of F words, that's the content that earns a PG-13 rating. It's navigable, I think, for adults, unless that's really an egregious content button for you. I think if you have gone through or are going through a close family relationship with someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, this could be a conversation starter, because this is a hard subject to talk about, but I think it does a really beautiful job of dealing with an incredibly difficult issue.
I love that. It's reminiscent to me of a movie that deals with schizophrenia we talked about in the past, Words on the Bathroom Wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Which had some problems with it, but the disturbing nature of the movie was an outplay of the reality of schizophrenia and a young man's struggle to be who he is and to accept that this is something that he's dealing with. I really enjoyed the film for that.
All right. So next we have two Tom Hanks films. We have Greyhound, which is a World War II movie about Tom Hanks is the commander, not just of a ship, but of a convoy trying to get ships across the Atlantic. It's a movie about hunting U-boats, German submarines, the Wolf Pack in World War II. Really, really good war movie. And the second one is News of the World, in which Tom Hanks plays a man traveling across Texas in the 1870s or 80s, I think, And
When there was even less coffee shops than there are now in Texas.
there
So
were fewer and
Yeah.
further between, or farther between. It's actually farther. So did you know that farther is physical distance and further is metaphorical distance?
I did not.
I looked it up the other day.
Nice. All right. I
So
feel
if you're talking
smarter.
physical, it's farther. Anyway, he runs into a little girl along the way who has been abandoned. Well, she wasn't abandoned. She was on a wagon.
Yes.
And she's been orphaned. But it turns out that she was kidnapped when she was little and raised by Indians. And so she doesn't speak, or she only speaks Kiowa. And so this is a movie really about fatherhood and adoption. Another really lovely movie. And then we have Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. Anyway, Mike, we listen to the Hamilton soundtrack, the censored version, all the time. Hamilton. I mean, almost everybody knows about it at this point, but if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus, and it's remarkable. It's a remarkable movie. And then Minari, which I mentioned a few minutes ago, is our other one. It's about a Korean family that immigrates to Arkansas and kind of is living the American dream as a Korean family in Arkansas.
And I will say I loved it because to me, it really does portray an honest look at the South. And even Faith. I really like that movie. Surprisingly, the ending is weak to me, but the story is strong. So some really good things. And now I have a plethora of things to download as I continue my journey as I am taking MyMichelleLive out and about. But this week, there's also one more category.
Yeah, we got one more category.
Sorry
Best
about
Christian
that.
movies. No,
Okay.
that's all right. I would have brought you back. It's all good.
That's what friends do.
That's right. So our nominees here are Fatima, which is about a miracle in 1917 where 3 children right in the middle of World War I see a vision of Mary. This is a deeply Catholic movie, but it's also one that even apart from its Catholic emphasis has an incredible faith story. This was a really engaging movie. I Still Believe, which is the tragic Jeremy Camp story. I'll leave that there. Selfie Dad, which stars Michael Jr., stand-up comedian, as a man who is having a midlife crisis and wants to be a stand-up comedian. So a little bit of art imitating life. Switched, which is almost a Christian version of Freaky Friday.
Yeah.
And Freaky Friday, usually when you say a Christian version of, it may not be as good. This is a great movie. I mean, Teen Girls, especially, really fun movie. And then When Last We Spoke, which is kind of a part drama, part comedy about 2 young girls who are abandoned by their mom. Their dad is killed in Vietnam and their grandparents raised them. And it's sort of one of these movies where you travel through time and see how they grow and the mistakes they make and their life lessons. I would sort of put it, broadly speaking, in Hallmark movie territory. So if you enjoy those sorts of movies, this is one you might want to check out.
Yeah, so
all 20 of them.
Boom, we got through them all, and I think most all of them are, to me, were worth a watch. Spiritually, through the spiritual category, which one do you find the most uplifting? I'm with you on Switched. I thought that was great. It's kind of surprised that didn't make the teen category, because I thought that was like a teen girls. If I were a teen girl, I'd be all up in that stuff. But
I think one of the interesting things this year is we have 5 really different movies that focus on faith from pretty different perspectives. Like, I think I Still Believe in some ways might have been the best crafted of those movies, but Fatima is really interesting too. And I think if you don't have a Catholic background, it may be a little bit harder to connect with it. But I think between those two, but Jeremy Camp's story of, falling in love with somebody, she gets cancer, the cancer goes into remission, they get married, the cancer comes back on their honeymoon, really. And a spoiler warning, that's what the movie's about. You're going to want a case of Kleenex. I mean, if you need your tear ducts cleaned out, I Still Believe, get the job done for you. So maybe one of those two. I'm hard pressed to pick, and I'm actually I'm curious to see how our team will vote on that. So we're gonna have a podcast that has our deliberations, so you can.
And
check.
I'm curious to see how you, as you're listening, how you're going to vote on it, because you
Absolutely.
get a say in all of this. So, where exactly is the easiest way to find the Plugged In Movie Awards?
Come to pluggedin.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a tab for our blog, and just scroll down. And I think 3 out of 4 of them are on the first page, and the second one migrated to the second page. But you may have to page back, a little bit, or our Facebook and Instagram accounts, which in a lot of people, that's easier than coming to a website. So
okay, that sounds like a plan.
Places are great.
And then let's just see if there's anything new this weekend that is worth a see.
You know what? We have one this weekend. Well, we had 2 because The Father is out. It's been in a really super slow release, but it's rolling wide this weekend. The other one, if you're not up for a movie about dementia, which may not be everybody's cup of tea, is Yes Day, which stars Jennifer Garner, and it is on Netflix. She plays a somewhat frazzled mom of 3. And let me just say, she absolutely nails the mom roles, whether it's serious or this one is very comedic. When she was younger, before she had kids, she was a total daredevil. Now she mostly says no to everything her kids want to do because they're sort of mounting a public relations campaign against her. She says, we're going to have a yes day. So for 24 hours, she will say yes to everything. She and her husband, within reason. And her kids, of course, game the system a little bit to try to make it as wacky as possible. Super fun movie. Just a smattering of profanity, a tiny bit of innuendo, but nothing that is, I think, gonna push anybody's buttons too hard on that particular front. And it's just fun. This is a fun movie. So
that's good. That's good. All right. Anything else?
That's pretty much it movie-wise.
Fine.
We could talk for the next hour about WandaVision, which wrapped last week.
Yeah, and that's series finale. So,
yes,
but it does open the door for a whole lot of other things. And we mentioned this last week, but it started very innocent and fun and turned very dark by the last episode.
It's pretty dark. But people who are jonesing for more Marvel won't have to wait long because Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts next Friday. And all of the speculation I've been reading, because I'm a comic nerd, says that there's going to be stuff from WandaVision that is directly woven in. So, they're really treating these series now almost like really long movies to continue weaving the story together. So,
and that was fine. It kind of got us part of, lockdown. So you got that. So our picks for the yays and the nays this week, mine is kind of the same movie. I had just watched it. It's resurfacing, and that is Pearl Harbor. It's not a children's movie at all. There is sexual content and there is language and such. But what I did enjoy is 2 things. One, that kind of big blockbuster, extravagant movie that we're not. It's a Michael Bay
movie, right?
And we're not seeing that kind of anymore. But I also really did appreciate the history. Understanding we are in a place where we're really canceling history, where we don't know history to cancel it.
Right.
So to watch something from the greatest generation, to see what people could endure and were willing to endure, and friendship and what we as a nation experienced, I think was second time I've seen it, was very moving. There is a lot of, but you can go to pluggedin.com and look up just about any film from antiquity, but there's some problematic elements, of course, but for an adult film, understanding and just revisiting that it's pretty powerful.
Well, this isn't my pick. I'm gonna zig and zag a little bit on my picks this week, but if that is a subject matter that you enjoy, the remake of Midway a couple of years ago, I think
Oh, yeah.
17 or 18, is in that neck of the woods.
Okay.
If you really want to have a blast from the past, go back and watch the 1977 version, or 76.
Wow. Yeah.
And like everybody in the history of Hollywood up to that point is in that movie. I mean, it is an all-star cast.
Wow.
And here's your little fun fact. It was one of John Williams' early scores. And so if you listen carefully, it was a year before Star Wars. Things that happen musically, they're not the memorable themes, but you can, once you know that, you can watch Star Wars and you're like, oh man, he did the exact same thing in Midway musically.
Okay, that may be something I download for the next leg of my trip. That's
and it's
really
my favorite,
great.
it's my all-time favorite war movie, the original.
Excellent. I will watch that. Another war movie that I do enjoy that might be worth a see is Hacksaw Ridge. I really, the faith element in that, and then look up for
Terrific
some,
faith element.
yeah,
Very violent. I mean, like make my eyes as big as possible violent.
yeah, yeah.
A bloody movie. Michelle,
But I'm just gonna, that caveat again is that it was appropriate to what was happening.
absolutely.
Is it necessary?
Absolutely.
No, but sometimes in our current way of telling stories, helping people to understand just really what people were up against helps you to
Yes.
understand why the faith element was so important. So there we go.
No, that's exactly right. And I think it's of a piece with Saving Private Ryan. I mean, I think we had an entire generation of war movies that sanitized that violence.
Mhm.
And, you know, if you grew up with Rat Patrol or some of the World War II things where there wasn't any blood or gore, you know, people just fell down. That's not what it was like, you know? And so Hacksaw Ridge and movies like that, they give us a realistic depiction of the horror of war, but it is a realistic depiction of the horror of war.
Yeah.
You have
And it's a hard line between realistic and gore, just for gore, for shock value. So
Yeah.
I think they ride that fairly well. All right.
Now, do you have a pan this week? Picks and
You
pan?
know, the other one was the same movie, is that it was a very good movie, but some of the elements of it make it
Yeah.
kind of problematic. So that's where, you know, I recommend, you know, being careful before you go.
So you're talking about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay. So you played with the rules a little bit, and so am I. It's been a good week. I don't have a pan this week because we haven't reviewed much stuff that is sort of like, by all means, avoid that. So I'm doing 2 picks, and I'm doing 2 picks in 2 different categories than we normally talk about. A new Justin Bieber song out this week called Hold On, which is really a song about encouragement for people who are struggling with mental illness. It's a lovely song. The video is really dramatic. The video is of Justin married to a woman who is dying of cancer, and they don't have enough money. And so he goes and robs a bank to try to have money to pay their medical bills. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not that it's problematic as much as it's like, it felt really dramatic because the song is great and it doesn't have any issues at all. So we review movies, and that's one of the things we reviewed this week. And my other pick, no pan, is Jerry Jenkins' novelization of The Chosen, which just came out this week. So Jenkins, who is Dallas Jenkins' father, may know Jerry Jenkins from the Left Behind series, of course. That's probably, he's most famous for that. But he is doing a novelization of each of the seasons of The Chosen. And so the first one came out this week. And full disclosure, Focus on the Family is publishing those books. So this is a little bit of a shameless plug. You know, I plugged Starbucks earlier,
so you might as well
get my actual company in this time. But if you have enjoyed The Chosen, I think you'll really enjoy what Jerry has done with the first book in this series. And you can find a review of that at pluggedin.com.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to give you, as long as we're talking books, final
Yes.
thing I want to say, and it's not quite a shameless plug, although I am reading the audio version, so you'll be able to hear me read it. It's a book called Breaking Yesterday. And if you remember the old Piercing the Darkness and This Present Darkness, it is along those, it has that kind of extraordinary feel. I mean, it is the best sci-fi faith book I have ever read. It's off the charts and fascinating.
What's the name of it again?
Breaking Yesterday. And it is
So I'm writing it down on my little label.
Oh yeah, you can go to BrentRBaker.com and find it. Check this out. And Brent is one of our sports reporters. So this is how I got in contact with Brent. This book was so amazing, and really, in essence, what they're trying to do is use this creepy, and it is creepy technology. This thing would be a great movie, to go back in time and kill baby Jesus. So
oh my word.
So that the cross, our redemption, would be done before it even begun. So it is really an interesting book, and I'm on my third time reading it, doing the audio, and I've really enjoyed it. So there you go, and it's a movie for your mind. So there you go. So we have packed in a lot in our time today.
And I thought we didn't have anything to talk about, but we may.
Have you met us?
Exactly.
So I hear that you guys may have a snowstorm there, so keep that cap on, my friend there in Colorado, and I will check in with you next time. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Michelle.
Perfect.
That was fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad I got this working. I feel like a pro now. So
all right. Well, have a great time in Nollins.
I shall. And, I'm gonna get fat on beignets, po' boys, and jambalaya. Boom.
Do it.
Yep, I am. All right, I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Michelle. Bye.